Hello, it's Daniel Searle from Daniel Searle Physiotherapy, here to answer your questions. And thank you so much to everyone who engaged with my previous video and sent in some questions. So I've kindly had some assistance to collate all the questions, and then we're going to go through the answers now. So let's just get cracking. Question 1. How do you assess my injury if you can't see it? Great question. Thank you very much to whoever submitted that. So I think for me, part of being a good physio is being a good listener. And I like to think, as someone that can't see, I rely pretty heavily on my listening skills, and I think I'm a pretty good listener. So it's about listening to the patient, hearing the patient's story, understanding the background to that injury, and getting all the relevant information. And as you become more refined as a physio, you become more refined in the questions you want to ask and the answers that you need to get to the bottom of an injury. Obviously, when I'm looking at people's movement, I rely quite heavily on my hands to be a bit more hands-on and feel what's happening with their movement, but also with constantly asking what they're feeling, how they feel about the way they're moving. It gives me really good information. I've obviously been quite used to being vision impaired. It's been like 16 years of my life now, so I'm quite adaptable and equally know my limitations, so know when something is beyond me, and I'm quite comfortable referring to someone else or asking for help as needed. And I'm quite confident in what I do, so I know when things are within my scope and when things are beyond my scope. So it's about knowing your own limitations and knowing what the patient's telling you to get to the root cause of the problem. Hopefully that helps answer your question. Feel free to submit another question. Okay, question number 2. Is it true that you have to work with dead bodies in your study? And if so, how did you manage that not being able to see? Good question. So yes, that is true within anatomy studies, and for anyone studying within the health science or medical fields, we do work with dead bodies in the anatomy lab, and obviously anatomy is a significant part of a physiotherapy degree. So, thank you so much to the families of the people who have donated their bodies to allow people like myself to be able to study. In terms of how you cope with that, yes, it can be quite confronting at times, and it is hard to separate yourself from the fact that that is a real person and that person had a life and a family and hopes and dreams at one point. But the fact that they've made that donation allows people like myself to study. So on that note, please consider donating your organs. Go to donatelife.org.au. If you're not registered as an organ donor, I am registered as an organ donor for everyone out there. So in not being able to see, it did make it difficult. It did present some challenges because for people that can see, obviously you can look at pictures within a textbook and go, that's whatever muscle, and then identify that easily on an anatomy specimen. Whereas for myself, I've obviously got to rely on being a bit more hands-on, which can sometimes be confronting, and obviously I have to rely on friends and colleagues within my course to place my hands on things and then orientate myself to the specimen and learn that way. So it was quite challenging, and there was a lot involved. The good thing is it really helped with my knowledge, because I really had to make sure I had a good understanding of everything and how everything was interconnected to each other to just memorize all those things. So it did present some challenges, and thank you so much to all those people along the way that supported me, but we got there in the end. So, next question. Where does Frodo go to the toilet when you are at work? Interesting question. It's amazing how many people have a fascination with my dog's toileting habits. Well, hopefully he doesn't go to the toilet at work. That would not be ideal for me or my patients. But he does have regular toilet breaks throughout the day. He's very good at holding on, so he usually knows that we will take him out to the toilet first thing in the morning. Before we leave for work, we'll give him another chance to go. And then once we're at work, we'll have breaks through the day, take him out, find some grass, and he can go if he needs to go. And then again, before we head off home from work, he'll have another chance to go. But as I said, very good at holding on. So, well done, Frodo. A related question. How do you pick up after Frodo if you can't see? Well, potentially sometimes not very well, but getting to know your dog, you learn when they need to go and when they're likely to go, so you can usually be pretty prepared. When I take Frodo, he stays on his lead, and you usually know when he's ready to go, and then line your feet up to where he's likely to go and then pick up from there. Some guide dogs owners and some of my friends use toileting harness, so put a harness on their dog's backside so the poo ends up in the bag and makes it a bit more cleaner and easier for some people. Yes, fascination with poo. Well done, people. Final question for today's session. Will you go back to playing blind cricket? Interesting. I'm not sure who that question's come from. Well, never say never. I loved my time playing blind cricket. It was a very important part of my life and made some wonderful friends through blind cricket, and still do love blind cricket. So definitely not ruling it out. At this current point in my life, I'm pretty busy, having just started a new business and busy with my studies in persistent pain, and in terms of my sporting commitments, pretty busy with triathlon, tandem cycling and a bit of running and things like that, so that keeps me pretty occupied. So not saying never, but it's probably not tomorrow. I'm probably not going to start playing again. I really enjoy the coaching side of things as well, so I would love the opportunity to work with other cricketers and talk to them about my experience and what I learnt with bowling and my passion for biomechanics and movement and strength and conditioning and things like that. And if I could help other young cricketers in that way, I would love to be involved in that space. But yeah, at the moment in terms of the playing thing, well, not saying never, but probably not right now. So anyway, that's all the questions we got this session. We can always look at doing another session if anyone thinks of any more questions in the future. Otherwise, we'll probably look at organising some specific topics around injuries and give people the opportunity to submit some questions and do an answer video through that. Otherwise, that's all for now. Thanks so much for tuning in.